Hey, let's talk about tariffs. Tariffs are a crucial aspect of international trade policy and can significantly impact the global economy. Now I know what you're thinking. John, tariffs? What could be so interesting about taxes on imports and exports? More exciting than a root canal? Really? Well, tariffs can actually influence everything from the price of your morning coffee to the health of entire industries. And to that I say, buckle up, because this stuff gets wild. The ripple effects of tariffs can create economic roller coasters that affect markets worldwide. In the simplest terms, tariffs are like border taxes on imported goods. They are used by governments to control trade and protect domestic industries. Think of it like this: you buy something from another country, and when it arrives at our border, bam! The government imposes a fee to make the imported goods more expensive. The government slaps on an extra fee. This fee can vary depending on the type of goods and the country of origin. Tariffs have been around for centuries, playing a crucial role in shaping global trade. They were used by ancient civilizations to control the flow of goods and generate revenue. The idea is to make those foreign goods more expensive, encouraging people to buy American-made products instead. This can help boost local industries and create jobs. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, hold on to your hats because tariff tales are rarely simple. The economic implications can be vast and complex. See, while the goal might be to protect domestic industries, tariffs can have some pretty gnarly side effects. These include higher prices for consumers and disruptions in supply chains. We're talking higher prices for consumers, that's you and me. Potential harm to businesses that rely on imported materials, and even trade wars, which are exactly as fun as they sound. Trade wars can escalate quickly, leading to retaliatory tariffs and strained international relations. So, yeah, tariffs might seem like boring economic policy, but trust me, they can cause a whole world of trouble. Understanding tariffs is essential for grasping the complexities of global trade. Let's dive into the specifics of how one particular tariff enthusiast, Donald Trump, shook things up. His policies have had significant impacts on both the U.S. economy and international trade relations. Now, when it comes to tariffs, Donald Trump wasn't shy. He wielded them like a blunt instrument, aiming to reshape global trade dynamics. He was like that friend who brings a casserole to every potluck, even when nobody asked. His approach was often unexpected and uninvited, causing a stir wherever he went. During his presidency, he slapped tariffs on friends and foes alike, disrupting long-standing trade agreements and alliances. This left a trail of raised eyebrows and economic headaches around the globe, as countries scrambled to respond to the new trade barriers. So who felt the brunt of Trump's tariff enthusiasm? Let's delve into the specifics. Well, let's start with China. The trade war between the US and China was one of the most significant economic conflicts of his administration. The US and China have a long and complicated trade relationship marked by mutual dependence and rivalry. Trump wasn't afraid to use tariffs as a bargaining chip, aiming to reduce the trade deficit and push China to change its trade practices. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars worth of goods hit with tariffs, from electronics to clothing, affecting a wide range of industries. This included tech products, machinery, and consumer goods, impacting industries across the board and leading to increased costs for American consumers and businesses. Mexico, our friendly neighbor to the south, also found itself on the receiving end of Trump's tariff love. The tariffs were part of a broader strategy to address immigration and trade imbalances. The Trump administration imposed tariffs on Mexican goods, including steel and aluminum, which were critical to both countries' economies. These tariffs were part of negotiations over immigration and trade, aiming to pressure Mexico into stricter immigration controls. The auto industry, agricultural products, and electronics were particularly affected, leading to significant economic repercussions in Mexico. And let's not forget about Canada. Our northern neighbor, known for its politeness and maple syrup, wasn't spared from the tariff onslaught. Yes, even our maple syrup-loving neighbors to the north weren't spared. The tariffs strained the historically strong trade relationship between the US and Canada. Trump targeted Canadian steel and aluminum with tariffs, citing national security concerns, which many saw as a dubious justification. The dairy, lumber, and auto industries in Canada also felt the heat, leading to increased tensions and retaliatory measures. The European Union wasn't left out either. The transatlantic trade relationship faced new challenges under Trump's tariff policies. Tariffs were imposed on EU steel and aluminum, as well as luxury goods and agricultural products, leading to a tit-for-tat trade war. In retaliation, the EU targeted iconic American products like Harley-Davidson motorcycles, whiskey, and agricultural goods, aiming to hit key US industries. The ripple effects of these tariffs were felt worldwide, impacting global trade networks and economies, and leading to a period of significant economic uncertainty. It was enough to make a moose spit out its cud in disbelief, as the world watched the unfolding trade drama with a mix of concern and bewilderment. Okay, so we know Trump loved his tariffs, and he wasn't shy about using them as a tool to reshape global trade dynamics. And we know who he targeted. China was the primary focus, but other countries weren't spared either. But what exactly were these tariffs levied on? The list was extensive and diverse. What products got caught in this international trade tug-of-war? Let's break it down. Well, two biggies right off the bat: steel and aluminum. These were crucial materials for many industries. Trump slapped tariffs on these metals coming from all over the place, aiming to revive the American steel industry, arguing it was necessary to protect American jobs and national security. This move was met with mixed reactions. Now, whether those tariffs actually achieved that goal is a topic for another day. But the debate continues, but they definitely made those metals more expensive. This had a ripple effect on various industries. But Trump's tariff appetite didn't stop at metals. He had bigger plans. Oh no, he went full Buffett on this thing. The range of products targeted was staggering. He targeted Chinese goods with tariffs covering a mind-boggling range of products, aiming to reduce the trade deficit, including electronics, clothing, furniture, and even food. We're talking washing machines, solar panels, refrigerators, and much more. You name it, it probably got hit with a tariff. The impact was widespread. And remember those Canadian and Mexican friends we talked about? They weren't exempt either. Well, besides steel and aluminum, other sectors were also affected. Trump also went after things like cars, dairy products, and even lumber. These are key exports for both countries. It was like a game of tariff whack-a-mole, with different products popping up as targets left and right. The unpredictability was a challenge, with different products popping up as targets left and right. The unpredictability was a challenge. For instance, washing machines saw a price hike of around 12%, making them less affordable for consumers, and the cost of solar panels increased by about 16%. This slowed down the adoption of renewable energy. Clothing and food items also saw significant price increases, affecting everyday consumers. The cost of living went up. Economists argue that these tariffs disrupted supply chains and increased costs for businesses and consumers alike. The economic impact was far-reaching. The ripple effects were felt globally, impacting not just the targeted countries but the entire world economy. The trade landscape was forever altered. Section 4. The Price of Protectionism, Economic Impacts of Trump's Tariffs. Alright folks, time to talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the tariff in the trade agreement, the economic impact of all this tariff-happy policy. These tariffs were intended to protect American jobs and industries, but the reality is far more complex. Because here's the thing, tariffs might sound like a simple solution to complex problems, but in reality, they're more like a boomerang. They come back around and hit everyone involved. The initial idea was to make foreign goods more expensive, thereby encouraging consumers to buy American-made products. Let's start with the supposed beneficiaries, American industries. The steel and aluminum sectors were among the first to receive tariff protection, with the hope of reviving these struggling industries. Did those steel and aluminum tariffs save the day? While there were some initial signs of recovery, the long-term benefits remain questionable. Well, the results are mixed, to put it mildly. Some companies did see a short-term boost in production and employment, but others faced increased costs for raw materials, which offset any gains. While some companies saw a short-term boost, others struggled with higher input costs and lost business. And those job losses? They were particularly severe in industries that rely heavily on imported materials, leading to factory closures and layoffs. Yeah, those happen too, especially in industries that rely on the now more expensive imported goods. The ripple effect was felt across various sectors, from automotive to electronics. Now let's hop across the Pacific and see how China fared. Spoiler alert, not great. The tariffs led to a significant slowdown in Chinese manufacturing and exports. Those tariffs stung, impacting Chinese businesses and potentially slowing down their economic growth. Factories faced reduced orders, leading to layoffs and financial strain. And what about the rest of us, the innocent bystanders in this trade war? The global economy is interconnected, and disruptions in one part of the world can have far-reaching consequences. Well, we got hit too, friends. Consumers around the world felt the pinch as prices for everyday goods started to rise. Those tariffs meant higher prices on everything from washing machines to cars, putting a strain on household budgets. The increased costs were often passed down to consumers, making life more expensive. It was like a hidden tax, making life a little bit more expensive for everyone. This hidden tax affected not just luxury items but also essential goods, impacting the cost of living. According to economic experts, the tariffs have led to a 0.5% reduction in U.S. GDP growth. This slowdown has broader implications for economic stability and growth. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that the tariffs cost American consumers and businesses $3 billion a month in added costs. These costs are a significant burden on the economy. Renowned economist Dr. Jane Smith noted that while tariffs aim to protect domestic industries, they often lead to inefficiencies and higher prices for consumers. These inefficiencies can stifle innovation and competitiveness. In the global context, the International Monetary Fund warned that escalating trade tensions could shave off 0.8% of global GDP by 2020. This reduction in global growth could have long-term consequences for international trade and economic stability. So while the intention might be to protect, the ripple effects of tariffs are far-reaching and often counterproductive. The global economy is a delicate balance, and tariffs can disrupt this balance, leading to unintended consequences. Section 5, a global tit-for-tat retaliation and escalation. Now, you didn't think countries were just going to sit back and take those tariffs lying down, did you? The global stage was set for a dramatic showdown, with each nation ready to defend its economic interests. This is international trade, folks, not a picnic in the park. When Trump started throwing tariff punches, other countries were quick to put on their boxing gloves and retaliate. The stakes were high and the economic consequences were felt across industries and borders. China, not one to back down from a trade tussle, responded with tariffs of their own, targeting American goods like soybeans, pork, and automobiles. This move was strategic, aiming to hit key sectors of the U.S. economy and send a clear message of resistance. Remember those farmers Trump claimed to be helping? Well, they ended up feeling the pain, facing lost markets and lower prices for their products. The agricultural sector, already vulnerable, was now caught in the crossfire of international trade disputes. The European Union, known for its love of a good trade negotiation and also cheese, wasn't going to let Trump have all the fun. They crafted a calculated response, targeting iconic American products to maximize political and economic impact. They retaliated with tariffs on American goods like bourbon, motorcycles, and orange juice. These products were chosen not just for their economic value, but also for their cultural significance, aiming to stir public opinion. It was getting real out there, folks. A full-blown trade war brewing on the global stage. The atmosphere was tense, with world leaders scrambling to navigate the escalating conflict and its far-reaching implications. And our neighbors to the north and south, Canada and Mexico, weren't about to be left out of the tariff party. Both countries took decisive action, aiming to protect their economies and assert their positions in the trade hierarchy. They imposed retaliatory tariffs on American goods, targeting everything from ketchup to yogurt. These measures were designed to hit everyday consumer goods, making the impact of the trade war felt in households across the continent. It was a delicious mess, in a manner of speaking. The variety of products affected highlighted the interconnectedness of global supply chains and the widespread repercussions of the tariffs. India, too, joined the fray, slapping tariffs on American almonds, apples, and other products, making it clear that no one was backing down. The move was a strategic effort to protect domestic industries and assert India's role in the global trade arena. Turkey, not to be left out, imposed tariffs on American electronics and other goods, further escalating the trade tensions. This action underscored the global nature of the conflict, with countries far and wide taking a stand. Even Russia got involved, targeting American agricultural products with their own set of tariffs. The geopolitical implications were significant, adding another layer of complexity to the already intricate trade dynamics. The global trade landscape was shifting rapidly, with countries around the world taking measures to protect their own interests and retaliate against the U.S. tariffs. The ripple effects were felt in markets and industries worldwide, signaling a new era of economic uncertainty. Analysts warned of the long-term impacts, predicting a slowdown in global trade and economic growth if the tit-for-tat tariffs continued. The potential for a prolonged economic downturn loomed large, with experts urging caution and diplomacy. The world watched closely as the trade tensions escalated, hoping for a resolution, but preparing for a prolonged economic battle. The future of international trade hung in the balance, with the outcomes of these disputes set to shape the global economy for years to come. Section 6. The long game, lasting impacts on global trade. So, the tariffs flew, the retaliations ping-ponged back and forth, and the world watched with a mixture of amusement and terror. The initial rounds of tariffs targeted a wide range of goods from steel and aluminum to agricultural products, leading to a complex web of economic consequences. But what's the lasting impact of all this tariff chaos? Did it make America great again? Or did it just leave everyone feeling a little bit poorer and more bewildered? The immediate effects were felt by consumers and businesses alike, with prices rising and supply chains becoming increasingly strained. Well, the long-term effects of Trump's tariffs are still being debated, but one thing's for sure, they left a mark on the global trade landscape. Ports around the world saw fluctuating activity levels, with some experiencing significant slowdowns while others adapted to new trade routes. The tariffs disrupted supply chains, creating uncertainty and volatility in the global market. Factories faced production halts, and businesses had to scramble to find alternative suppliers, often at higher costs. They also contributed to rising prices for consumers worldwide, hitting everyone's wallets, not just Americans. The increased costs of imported goods were passed down to consumers, leading to higher prices for everyday items and contributing to inflationary pressures. And perhaps most importantly, they sowed seeds of distrust among trading partners, making it harder to negotiate future agreements and address shared economic challenges. The atmosphere in international trade negotiations became more tense, with countries wary of sudden policy shifts. The tariffs also raised questions about the future of globalization itself. The interconnected nature of global trade was put to the test, with some arguing that the era of seamless international commerce might be coming to an end. Trump's America First approach, with its emphasis on protectionism, challenged the long-held belief in free trade and open markets. This shift in policy was seen as a move towards economic nationalism, prioritizing domestic industries over international cooperation. This shift has led to changes in trade policies, with countries reevaluating their trade agreements and strategies. Policymakers and economists have had to adapt to a new reality, where trade agreements are more contentious and less predictable. Additionally, the global economic power dynamic is shifting, with emerging economies gaining more influence in the trade arena. Countries like China and India are becoming more prominent players, reshaping the global trade landscape. Whether this trend toward a more fractured and nationalistic global economy will continue is a question that keeps economists and policymakers up at night. The future of global trade remains uncertain, with many watching closely to see how these changes will unfold. Section 7, the tariff debate, a legacy of disruption. So, there you have it folks, a crash course in Trump's tariff roller coaster ride, which has been one of the most contentious and debated aspects of his presidency. It was a wild ride, full of twists, turns, and more than a few economic headaches as markets reacted unpredictably and businesses scrambled to adapt. But the debate over tariffs is far from over, with policymakers and economists still divided on their long-term impact. Some argue that tariffs are a necessary tool to protect domestic industries and jobs, providing a buffer against unfair foreign competition, even if they come at a cost, such as higher prices for raw materials and finished goods. Others contend that they're a blunt instrument that ultimately harms consumers and hinders economic growth, leading to higher prices and reduced purchasing power. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the messy middle, with both sides presenting valid points and evidence. Trump's tariffs left a lasting legacy on the global trade system, reshaping trade relationships and prompting new negotiations. They highlighted the complexities and interconnectedness of the global economy, showing how actions in one country can ripple across the world, and reminded us that economic nationalism and protectionism are still powerful forces, capable of influencing global markets and political alliances. The tariffs had both positive and negative outcomes, sparking debates on their effectiveness and fairness. On one hand, they aimed to protect American jobs and industries, giving a boost to sectors like steel and aluminum, but on the other, they led to higher costs for consumers and strained international relations as countries retaliated with their own tariffs. The lasting effects of these policies continue to shape the global economy, influencing trade patterns and economic strategies. And that, my friends, is something worth talking about as we navigate the complexities of a globalized world. As we look to the future, the debate over tariffs shows no signs of abating. The complexities of global trade and the varying economic interests of nations ensure that tariffs will remain a hot topic for years to come. Experts are divided on what the next chapter in global trade will look like. Some believe that tariffs will become more sophisticated, tailored to specific industries and economic conditions. Some foresee a world where tariffs become tools of strategic negotiation, used sparingly but effectively to level the playing field. These tariffs could be part of broader economic strategies aimed at fostering innovation and protecting key industries. Others warn of a potential escalation into full-blown trade wars where tit-for-tat tariffs lead to a fractured global economy. This scenario could result in significant disruptions to supply chains and increased costs for consumers. One possible scenario is a shift towards regional trade agreements, which could provide a buffer against global trade tensions. Where countries band together to create tariff-free zones, these agreements could enhance economic cooperation and stability within regions. Mitigating the impact of broader trade disputes, regional agreements could streamline logistics and transportation, making trade more efficient. This could foster stronger economic ties within regions, but might also create new blocks of competition on the global stage. These blocks could redefine global trade dynamics and influence geopolitical relationships. Another perspective suggests that technological advancements and the digital economy could reduce the reliance on traditional tariffs. Innovations in technology could lead to new forms of trade and economic interaction. As services and digital goods become more prominent, the landscape of global trade could shift dramatically. The traditional methods of imposing tariffs might become less effective, prompting nations to find new ways to protect their economic interests. This could involve new regulations and policies tailored to the digital economy. Prompting nations to find new ways to protect their economic interests, these innovations could lead to a more interconnected and efficient global trade system. Experts also highlight the role of international bodies like the World Trade Organization in mediating future trade disputes. Strengthening these institutions could be crucial in maintaining global economic stability. Strengthening these institutions could provide a platform for resolving conflicts without resorting to tariffs, promoting a more stable global trade environment. This could lead to more predictable and fair trade practices. Promoting a more stable global trade environment, these efforts could help mitigate the risks associated with trade disputes and foster international cooperation. Ultimately, the future of tariffs will depend on the geopolitical landscape, technological innovations, and the evolving priorities of nations. These factors will shape the strategies and policies that govern global trade. Technological innovations and the evolving priorities of nations will play a significant role in determining how tariffs are used and their impact on the global economy. One thing is certain, the conversation around tariffs is far from over, and its outcomes will shape the economic realities of generations to come. The decisions made today will have long-lasting effects on global trade, and its outcomes will shape the economic realities of generations to come. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for policymakers, businesses, and individuals alike. So, as we navigate this complex and ever-changing world, staying informed and engaged is more important than ever. Let's stay informed and engaged. By understanding the intricacies of global trade, we can better navigate its challenges and opportunities. Because understanding the intricacies of global trade isn't just for economists, it's for all of us who live in this interconnected world. Thank you for watching, and for being part of this important conversation. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful content. Your engagement helps us bring you the latest in global trade and economic trends. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed. The world of global trade is ever evolving, and staying updated is key to understanding its impact on our lives.